What is up, guys? It's Brendan here, and today we're going to be taking a look at 10 of the best ways to save money. Now, some of these ways may be a little bit more clever or even just simple things that you can stop buying in order to save more money at the end of the day. So again, these are 10 things that either I personally do or have done in the past in order to actually save money at the end of the day, and in ways that are not necessarily compromising to your lifestyle, and in ways that can really honestly just quickly get away from you, and easy things that you could do just that you may not even notice as well. So that's what we're breaking down here in today's video. So at the number one spot, one of the easiest ways to save money is to take a look and audit your insurance. Most people do spend money on insurance, whether that be health insurance, home insurance, car insurance. There's a lot of different types of insurance that many different people have, at least especially here in the United States, where you pretty much have to have insurance in order to live your day-to-day life. It's something that you have to spend money on in some capacity. And in terms of auditing your insurance, another way that you can save money is to take a look at your overall coverage on your insurance. Do this maybe every 6 months, each period that you're taking a look at your insurance. One other way that you can save money on insurance as well is, instead of paying monthly, maybe you pay that full premium, whether it be annually or even in that 6-month block when it comes to maybe car insurance or home insurance. That's one other way to save money in terms of how you're paying it, as well as, again, taking a look at that actual insurance policy. What is it covering? Are you maybe paying for more coverage than you actually need? That's one way that you can also save money on your insurance, is to maybe potentially reduce coverage in certain areas that you're maybe not necessarily even using it. Maybe you're paying for a lot more insurance than you actually need. I know for me, myself, when I used to drive a lot more than I do now, and one way to save a little bit of money was to reduce the overall mileage that I spend on auto insurance, because I'm just not driving maybe as much as I once did. So it just depends. There's a lot of different ways that you can actually cut back on insurance. Another thing, maybe even with home insurance, is maybe cutting down on the total amount of coverage on certain personal items that are in your home. Sometimes different insurance policies just may cover way more than you actually need. So I would recommend, whatever type of insurance it might be, is to just look through the policy and audit what you're actually paying for, and whether or not you even need that amount of coverage, or maybe you can find different ways to reduce it. Moving in at the number 2 spot, we have unused subscriptions. Now, this is a very popular area that a lot of people do spend a lot of money on, and one way to save money is to, again, cancel those unused subscriptions. So there's everything is a subscription nowadays. It's kind of crazy how the world is, but that's just how it is, you got Amazon Prime, you've got Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus. The list goes on in terms of different subscriptions. It could even be gym memberships as well, or maybe certain types of clubs that you're paying for on a monthly basis. These are all different ways and different subscriptions that you may want to audit and take a look at what you're actually using on a month-to-month basis. This could be Apple Music, Spotify, things like that. Again, pretty much everything is a subscription. When it comes to specifically like movie-based subscriptions, there's really only so much time that you have in a day or TV shows to watch. And one way that a lot of people do save money, and something I've done as well, is maybe rotating them, right? So maybe one month you're going to go through all Disney Plus, and then maybe you cancel it after a month, then you move on to Netflix or something like that. It really only makes sense to even have multiple subscriptions. Maybe if you are having something bundled or something like that, that can be a way to save money as well. Maybe if you bundle certain subscriptions, or just, again, cancel the ones that you're not necessarily using. At the end of the day, canceling unused subscriptions, especially how pesky they can be, you might completely and very easily forget about a $20 subscription that's just hitting your bill every single month. So I would definitely recommend taking a look at your credit card statements, your bank statements. One other way that you can also take a look at what subscriptions you're paying for, at least in iPhones, you can go into your subscription settings and quickly and easily see all the subscriptions on different apps that you're paying for through the iOS App Store. That's a very easy way to cancel them as well. So you can see, oh, am I paying for Disney, Apple Music, a variety of different types of subscriptions that could even be in there as well. And that's an easy way to cancel them as well. Again, if you're not using it, if you're not getting value from it on a decent or at least some sort of regular basis, again, this could even be gym memberships as well. Maybe if it's sitting unused, find other things that you're getting more value from and just cancel the ones that you aren't using. Make sure to do this audit maybe every few months, maybe once a year. Take a look, because it can really creep up on you on maybe especially some of those annual subscriptions as well that you're maybe paying for only once a year. You can very quickly and easily forget about something and then just not even remember that you were completely paying for it that whole time. Moving in at number 3, we have takeout and delivery services. Now, of course, eating out at restaurants is clearly something that can cost a bit of money over time, especially it has to do with takeout and delivery services, especially something like DoorDash. The amount of fees that you ultimately pay on takeout delivery service and expected to at least pay a tip here in the United States as well on top of that can add up quite quickly. You might be paying $20 for McDonald's food that might ultimately really only be, worth $10. I get sometimes if you maybe don't have the transportation situation, a lot of times out of convenience, it's a very expensive convenience to pay for takeout and delivery food. It's something I very rarely, if ever, actually do myself because it is really just so expensive. And even for myself, one time I did do, McDonald's delivery way back in the day, probably like over 5 years ago. It ended up being cold by the time it got to my house. So it's not even necessarily the best experience either, especially compared to maybe just going out yourself or going to that restaurant or something like that. And just the fees can be quite high for that convenience. It really is the most expensive way to actually get food, because you're not only just paying for the delivery as well as, the tip on the delivery, as well as the food is typically marked up as well from the restaurants because of the fees that companies like Uber Eats and DoorDash and Postmates take from the restaurants as well. So do consider that as well when you're ordering it, if you do plan on doing it. And I get that maybe it could be a time saver for you, but it is just a very expensive way to get food. There's definitely better options out there. And moving in at number 4, this is actually my personal favorite, and this is buying in bulk or at club stores, or even just doing buy one, get one deals. Purchasing items in bulk, especially when it comes to not only just your groceries, but even other household items such as trash bags, toilet paper, paper towels, all those types of things that you may need on a regular basis in your household. It can make a ton of sense to purchase them in bulk, whether that be at somewhere like a Costco wholesale or even a Sam's Club, a BJ's, whatever type of wholesale or bulk store that you have available to you. It can be another really great way to save money, and it should be a pretty obvious one. Now, one thing to keep in mind though is that, again, if you are going to be spending more money up front in bulk on some of these items, you can get it cheaper on a per item basis, but just be careful about certain items that are perishable, because it's very easy to get carried away sometimes buying in big quantities, or even just doing lots of buy one get one deals at maybe your local grocery store. At least here we have, I have Publix does lots of buy one get one deals, and it can be easy at the bulk stores as well to maybe purchase a little bit more than you need. If you're feeding a family, it can make a lot of sense, but if you're just a single person buying in bulk, sometimes you might accidentally buy more than you can even eat through. So it is definitely important to, don't get too carried away in terms of what you're buying. Maybe stick to some of the essentials that hey, I am definitely going to eat this. Or for meats and things like that, you can also freeze some of it as well in order to, make that just item go a lot longer, especially when you're buying it in bulk compared to buying it individually. So you can still save money there and have it not go bad on you or spoil on you. So that is something else to keep in mind with this, sort of like a disclaimer. But when you can do it effectively, it can be an amazing amount of cost savings, especially compared to buying things in such small quantities at the grocery store, especially with all the inflation and shrinkflation nowadays. Is definitely a great way to save money and to just, stop buying such small quantities, especially when it's something you're going to use and eat or consume, again, depending on what type of item it is. Just make sure that it's something you can actually use, but even things that you use slowly. Maybe it takes you a year to go through certain things, but you ultimately still save money buying it in bulk versus just buying like a one-off of something. So it's definitely my personal favorite. And come on, you cannot beat, the $1.50 hot dog and soda combo at Costco, or the the rotisserie chickens for $4.99. You really just can't beat it. So ultimately, those items are at least like inflation proof when it comes to purchasing things at a grocery store. And at the number 5 spot, we have reducing your overall driving. Now, I get this does depend on where you are currently living as to how much you can actually do this. Now, of course, if you live somewhere like New York City, yes, it's very easy to reduce your driving because there's tons of public transit available to you. But if you live somewhere out in a very rural area, it can be hard to reduce your overall driving, just getting even just anywhere that you need to go, because things are just a lot more spread out. So this one is a little bit location dependent, but when you can reduce your driving, whether that be through carpooling, remote work as well, maybe working in the office only certain days of the week, and working from home other days of the week, that's another way to take advantage of reducing your overall driving on your commutes, and even public transit, depending, again, that does depend on where you live, especially here in the United States. There really isn't great public transit available for most people. That is still like time efficient and cost efficient at the end of the day. But by reducing your overall driving, you're saving money on gas, insurance, as well, as I already noted prior in this video, as well as just your time too. If you're reducing your overall driving, you do save time and money on that side of things, again, depending on where you need to go or what you're doing. But overall, if you still need to go all to a certain destination, carpooling and doing ride sharing can also save money as well. If you're going to be needing to drive somewhere, that's just another easy way to help save money instead of everybody all driving separately, spending the gas and all that. It just does make sense to kind of pool up when you can. And moving in at number 6, we have impulse purchases. Now, one of the best ways to reduce impulse purchasing is to stick to a shopping list, whether this may be at the grocery store or even on Amazon as well. If you're looking around at different things, this can help a lot more in the grocery store just because of the way that things are laid out. Is again just sticking to a shopping list. If you just stick to what you went in there initially to buy, you're not necessarily like, oh, that looks good, then you're gonna buy this and buy that and buy this and buy that, can help you save a bit of money as well in terms of limiting the impulse purchases. Now, one impulse purchase here and there isn't the worst thing in the world, but it can be very easy to get carried away with, especially when it comes to just buying things on a regular basis. If you're already in there, if you just stick to your shopping list and what you originally planned on purchasing, that can be another good way to save money. Again, this could be for any type of store, even outside of just grocery stores as well. Moving in at number 7, we have gambling and lottery tickets. Now, really, this one could also go for any type of vice that you may spend money on, whether that's alcohol, smoking, cigarettes, or any other type of thing in that wheelhouse. Saving money on those types of, vices can be another good way to save money. If you're not going out and buying lottery tickets all the time, going out and gambling, or spending money just on things that are not necessarily great for your health, I get maybe some in moderation, but this is an easy way, especially if you do need to, set a more strict budget. This can be something that you can cut out or at least reduce slowly or limit. I get that, it can be a little bit more complicated than just being like, oh, I'm just not going to spend any money on this type of thing. Like, these types of things do maybe take a little bit more time, but they can be a very significant cost savings for a lot of people, especially if it is a high line item on how much you spend in a month. This can be something that will take a good chunk out of your overall spending, and that's why I include it in this list as well, just because this is something in an area that you can easily get carried away with spending a lot more money on than you would like to, maybe, or just a very easy way to save money is to it's something that's maybe not necessary in your life. So in general, this can be a little bit difficult, I get, for some people, but it is an area that you can reduce spending on and save money on ultimately. And moving in at number 8, we have unnecessary furniture or and or brand new furniture. Now, this is an area that you can very quickly, easily spend a lot of money on, especially if you're going to be filling spaces, again, with a lot of maybe even unnecessary furniture. Furniture can be an area that just adds up very quickly, and it's an area too that you can also very easily save money on by buying things, whether it be secondhand, maybe it's even gifted to you from other people because they don't have the space for it anymore or don't need it anymore. Places like Facebook Marketplace can be a very easy way to get cheaper furniture because people are typically moving and they don't either want to move it because it's too heavy or they just don't even have the space for it anymore. So that can be another way to get good, like cheap quality furniture and things like that as well. You could also shop at places like IKEA, maybe compared to some of the more designer type furniture stores and things like that. Or you could just go with no furniture as well. Sometimes you may just not even need a piece just to fill a space that you're not even using. I've been to many places where some people just don't even use their formal dining room. So they just leave it blank, like they leave it empty. Like if you don't need the furniture for a certain space, you don't necessarily need to buy furniture just to fill a space that you're not even necessarily going to get use out of. Like if you're not planning on getting use out of it, no need to go ahead and go and purchase something that you're not even really going to use. So unnecessary furniture can be another way to cut back. I get that's maybe a little bit more, every now and again. It's not necessarily something that you would have every single month in your budget or in your overall spending, but it can be just another area that you can either shop secondhand or get things for free or just go with nothing at the end of the day. And moving in at number 9, we have programmable thermostat and electricity savings. Now, this is an area that you can actually save a lot of money on over time. This is something that can easily creep up on you, and it's basically just setting your thermostat accordingly. So again, we have different seasons, especially here in Florida right now, it being the summertime, can be very, very hot. So typically electric bills just naturally going to be higher during this time of the year. But if you're going to keep it maybe set, at a temperature that's not 70 or 63 degrees here, clearly, you would have a very difficult time even getting an air conditioner to get your temperature down to 63 degrees in the Florida heat and summer time, then I would say in general, adjust it accordingly to the season. And another way that you can also utilize a programmable thermostat, again, something like a Nest that you see here, or even just any other regular thermostat, is maybe set it to be a higher temperature when you're not even at the house. So you can set this up in the settings during maybe certain hours of the day, maybe when you're going to work, or maybe when you're leaving the house for extended periods of time and you're not even going to be home. You can set the thermostat to be just a little bit higher than what would be maybe comfortable for you at home. That's one way to cut down on electricity savings, and that little bit can add up a lot over time. Another thing in terms of the seasonality, like I hinted at again here in the Florida heat in the summer, it is just naturally going to be hotter and you're going to spend more money on AC. But when it comes to the winter time, that's where Floridians can save money if you're okay with it being a little cooler in your house. Maybe you don't spend as much money or any money on heating your home, and maybe you just throw on a sweater. Again, depending on when you're watching this, what type of season you're in, that can also be another great way to save money on your electricity bill. It's a very simple thing to do. I get that maybe not everybody is comfortable in certain temperatures, but maybe use a fan or something like that as well to also, keep yourself cool in certain times of the year, or to keep yourself, warm is just throw on extra clothes during the wintertime. It seems like something basic and simple, but again, it may be something that you just have to get used to or acclimated to. But again, saving money on your electricity bill can be a good savings, especially over the long haul. Again, air conditioning and heating as well can be a very big expense for a lot of people. And moving in at number 10, last but not least, we have home cooking. Now, this one kind of goes along with purchasing things in bulk or shopping lists, or just being intentional about your grocery shopping in general. Is also doing home cooking. Now, learning how to cook can be a very simple thing. You don't necessarily have to even cook the most complex recipes or just to meal prep or make things up in advance. You can cook things pretty simple and cheaply and save a lot of money. It should be no secret, no surprise that, cooking at home can be a lot more affordable and cheaper than going out and spending money on food out. Now, I get there are some time savings in terms of cooking, when you're cooking, you're going to be spending time cooking and cleaning and all that, especially maybe if it's just for one person. But in order to combat that, you would just meal prep, spread things out over 3 days. That's what I personally, you cook one bigger meal, you spread it out over 3-4 days. Maybe you get tired of eating necessarily the same thing every day, but at the end of the day, it can be just another good way to save money. Or even if you don't want to do meal prepping, maybe you do just make, one meal for a couple days, and you eat the leftovers and things like that. And you don't necessarily have to make as big of quantities. That can just be a way to save time, is doing the meal prepping as part of home cooking, or just home cooking in general as well. Can be a lot cheaper than going out and spending, $10 or $20 on meals like every single day going out to eat. It can be another great way really to save a lot of money in the long run. Again, just doing some home cooking. Again, it doesn't have to be that complicated. You can just do things more basic, and then you save a little bit of money as well on maybe some of those more complex recipes or ingredients, because those can even add up sometimes. I get, especially depending on where you're shopping, you can actually spend more money home cooking than eating out. You do need to be frugal and be intentional with what you're actually purchasing. Again, it kind of goes back to buying things in bulk and buying things intentionally when you go to the grocery store, so that you're making the meals that are more affordable and more cost effective. But in general, home cooking, there's lots of different ways you can go about doing it, and can be another good way to save money. Alrighty guys, so that pretty much wraps up this video here today. Again, let me know in the comments section if there's maybe some other ways that you personally save money, or things that you just stop buying in general to help save money as well every single month, year, and just your overall financial habits when it comes to setting your budgets or things like that. Again, guys, if you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, then be sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe as well, and notification bell so you're notified whenever I upload a new video. Anyway, guys, that's all for today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.